Drew McIntyre has a lot of exciting things going on for him, so we'll see what's new for him. We'll also check out what's going on with the Judgment Day, Karrion Kross, and much more. Let's start things off with everything related to Drew McIntyre and his exciting new direction. Over the last few weeks, we started to see a different side of Drew McIntyre. We went from seeing him as a true babyface to someone that started becoming a bit more self-centered and wasn't hesitant at all to cheat in matches if the opportunity presented itself. Another thing Drew McIntyre has been doing a lot recently was leaving ringside and heading up to the entrance ramp while babyfaces were getting beat up in the ring. He did it to the New Day and he did it to Jey Uso. He explained those actions by mostly saying that he's just gonna mind his own business and not get involved in anything that doesn't really concern him. So it appeared that Drew McIntyre was heading down this consistent heel path. But the October 9th edition of Raw definitely shook things up a bit. Seth Rollins comes out after surviving against Nakamura at Fastlane, and he had his promo headed in the direction of sounding like he was announcing an injury or retirement. Seth swerved everyone and said that he was just getting started. Seth was clearly banged up and said he wanted to take one night off from the ring just to recharge. But before he knew it, Drew McIntyre was coming out and joining him in the ring, and before Drew could even say a word, Seth correctly guessed what Drew wanted, and that was a World Heavyweight title match. And Seth basically snapped right back into himself, and he tells Drew that he'll put on his gear and how they can have the match right now, tonight. And that right there has been Seth's mainline story and arc over the last few months that many fans think will ultimately lead to his fall and the end of his title reign. Seth Rollins' character doesn't know how to chill out and rest up. He's so obsessed with being a fighting world champion, appearing on every show and defending his title right away at every opponent that steps up, that he never steps back to consider his own health. Of course, it's honorable. He doesn't want to be like Roman Reigns and be inactive as a world champion. He wants to defend the title for the fans in every city he goes to, but it's not a good path to be going down, and it's definitely going to catch up to him eventually. No matter if it's someone pinning him or a cash-in from Damian Priest, Seth is going to keep going full speed without taking himself into consideration, and that'll run him right into the ground. That seems to be Seth's trajectory and where his story and arc is headed. The body punishment just keeps piling up, and he gives himself no time to slow down and rest at all. But luckily enough for Seth, it was Drew who said no to tonight and suggested Crown Jewel, since he wanted Seth to be 100% for their title match. And Seth accepted. But moments after Drew left the ring, Seth Rollins was attacked by Damian Priest. And we see Drew do what he's been doing for the last few weeks. He continues walking up the ramp while a babyface gets jumped in the ring. But when Dominic Mysterio came running out to give Damian Priest the Money in the Bank contract, Drew finally snapped back into it, stopped Dominic, and threw the contract far away. So even though Drew has been acting strange in recent weeks, something came into him that got him to do the right thing here. And Drew's actions right there of stopping the cash-in did set off a chain of reactions for the Judgment Day. Damian Priest would end up threatening JD McDonough for not being out there to assist with the cash-in. And Rhea Ripley told JD that this was his big moment to prove himself in the match with Drew McIntyre. But then we got a very interesting backstage moment that could lead to something major. Drew McIntyre and Rhea Ripley were seen having a conversation backstage. Now, Drew and Rhea's conversation wasn't front and center of the camera. It was one of the backstage hidden details sort of moments. So we can see Rhea and Drew talking in the background of the segment, but we of course can't actually hear what they're talking about. But fans are assuming that Rhea Ripley could possibly be cooking up some more of negotiations or collaborations there with Drew McIntyre. And with Rhea Ripley now being the main leader and decision maker for the Judgment Day, we're to assume that whatever they're talking about is in regards to business with the Judgment Day. A lot of fans feel like it could turn out to be a similar situation to what we saw a few years back at the Thunderdome. Back then, The Miz went up to the Hurt Business with a big proposal. Bobby Lashley takes out Drew McIntyre for him and helps him with his cash-in. The Miz will offer the first title shot to Bobby Lashley in return. And that's exactly what happened. So maybe Rhea is pitching something very similar to that. Drew obviously stopped the cash-in from happening earlier in the night, so maybe Rhea is trying to convince Drew to stay out of the way and let it happen, or for Drew to assist them in taking out Seth Rollins for the cash-in. Maybe Rhea could be offering Drew McIntyre the first crack against Damian Priest for the world title in return for his assistance, possibly something along those same lines. And it would make sense and click with Drew's direction over the last few weeks. Drew has been saying how he only cares for himself and what's best for him, and this could be an interesting proposal for him. Get Seth Rollins out of the picture and get the first crack at Damian Priest. Maybe Drew does like his chances better against Damian Priest instead of Rollins, so whatever Rhea's offering could make sense to him. So it's definitely such a big developing situation that was created by a short backstage detail. We'll have to see if we'll see that Drew McIntyre and Judgment Day collaboration, if it'll take place sometime in the near future. In other news, big things could be on the way for Karrion Kross and Scarlett. The duo was a smash hit in NXT during 2020, but they haven't really reached that same level on the main roster. Karrion Kross and Scarlett's big moment on the main roster so far has been their 2022 return, where they appeared during the closing moments of the show to take out Drew McIntyre and put Roman Reigns on notice. It was a great returning segment, but nothing of much substance has happened with Kross and Scarlett ever since. But it seems like lots of positive things could possibly be on the way for the duo. New reports claim that Karrion Kross and Scarlett are allegedly set for a major push on Smackdown. So it's definitely been a long time coming, and it'll be great to see what they have in store for the both of them. Gigi Dolin has also made headlines this week after she revealed the story of what happened when she first met The Undertaker. Gigi had this to say on that story while appearing on Drinks with Johnny. Quote, "So Undertaker's mine and my brother's favorite wrestler of all time. We love him to death. Even my dad's favorite wrestler. First time I get to meet The Undertaker, I think we were at a Special Olympics event, and we were up in a little suite area just by ourselves, and I went up to meet this man, and I started bawling my eyes out, and I couldn't get my words out, and they're just trying to explain to him that he's my favorite wrestler, and I'm just sobbing." End quote. Gigi said that The Undertaker ended up coming up to her the very next day at the Performance Center, but she ended up fumbling her words again. So it was a moment that left her speechless on multiple occasions. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.